Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Always exciting to be here.
Today we're wading into a pretty heavy topic.
Yeah, we are.
Is war ever justified?
Ooh, that's a big one.
You know, it's one of those questions that's been debated forever.
Forever.
And, especially for those of you out there prepping for those UPSC IR exams,
Absolutely crucial topic.
this one's right up your alley.
You'll definitely see this come up.
So to break this
Yep.
down, we're going to look at it through three main lenses.
Three perspectives.
Realpolitik,
Right.
just war theory,
Okay.
and
The
pacifism.
big three.
And each one of these offers a totally different way of thinking about war
Yeah, they really do.
and whether it can ever...
They justify it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right.
So first up,
Huh.
let's dive into
Okay.
realpolitik.
Realpolitik.
Now, from the research I've done, it seems like
Yeah.
realpolitik is all about...
It's very practical.
It's like no nonsense.
No nonsense.
It's like...
Cut and dry, national interest above everything else.
above everything else.
Even morality sometimes.
Yeah, it's like morality takes a backseat.
Sometimes, yeah. It's like, look out for number one.
Right.
And if that means,
Yeah.
making tough choices,
Yeah.
that's what you got to do.
So how...
It's a very, hard-headed approach
It's hard-headed. That's a good...
to international relations.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're
Warmonger.
warmongers, right?
Like you said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's strategic.
It's very strategic.
Okay.
There's this guy, Carl Schmitt,
Okay.
really fascinating political theorist.
Right.
And he actually argued
Okay.
that wars fought purely on moral grounds can actually be more devastating
Interesting.
because they lack clear objectives.
Oh.
If you're not thinking strategically,
Mm-hmm.
the conflict can spiral out of control.
That's a good point. Right.
So it's about
Contained
keeping a cool head.
keeping a cool head, exactly,
Yeah.
and not letting emotions
Not letting emotions
dictate your actions.
right, dictate your actions.
In the international arena.
I mean, I get it,
Yeah.
but it does
Well,
feel a little
Cool.
cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a very
calculating.
Calculating.
Yeah. And especially for you UPSC folks out there,
Mm-hmm.
think about the Cold War.
Oh, yeah. Great example.
The superpowers
Totally.
driven by this.
Realpolitik.
Realpolitik.
Absolutely.
Constantly vying for power.
Vying for power.
And that led to all sorts of...
Proxy wars all over the place.
Yeah, instability.
Instability.
It's a good historical example.
Exactly.
Think about...
You can see it play out.
And, it's interesting
Yeah.
because this whole focus on self-interest
Mm-hmm.
and, military might,
Yeah.
doesn't it feel
A little one-sided.
one-sided? Yeah,
Yeah.
is that all there is?
You're missing something.
Yeah.
And a lot of feminist scholars have pointed this out,
Huh.
saying that this whole emphasis on power and military strength,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a masculine view
Okay.
of international relations.
Yeah.
You're ignoring all these other factors that are really
Yeah.
important.
Okay, so that's...
Ooh, for thought.
that's realpolitik
Realpolitik.
in a nutshell.
There you go.
But let's move on to our second perspective here.
Okay.
Just war theory.
Just war theory.
Now, this one seems like
Yeah.
it's kind of the opposite
The flip side.
of realpolitik.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's
Yeah.
trying to bring morality into the equation.
Yeah, it's like there are rules to this game.
There are rules.
Oh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just a free-for-all.
Right.
You can't
Just
just
do whatever you want.
do whatever you want. There are ethical boundaries. It's
Right.
asking, when is it actually okay
Okay.
to go to war?
Right.
And how should you fight ethically?
And how should you fight ethically?
Yeah, so there are two key concepts here
Okay.
that we need to unpack.
Right. Lay it on me.
Okay, so you've got just ad bellum
Just add bellum.
and jus in bello.
Just in bello.
A little bit of Latin for you there.
Okay. So just add bellum.
That's all about the right to go to war.
So before the war even starts,
Before the war even starts.
you have to check these boxes.
You got to have a good reason.
Yeah, you got to have a good reason.
It's like the ethical checklist.
The ethical checklist.
Before you even think about military action.
Okay. So in jus in bello.
Jus in bello is all about right conduct during war.
Okay. So once the fighting's already started,
Once the fighting started,
there are still rules.
there are still rules.
Right.
You can't just be like,
Anything goes down.
anything goes right.
No,
It's
hands
about
down.
minimizing harm to
Yes.
civilians.
Right.
And using force proportionally.
Yeah. Okay. So
You don't want to
overkill.
overkill, exactly.
Yeah.
You want to be measured
So there's morality involved at every stage.
at every stage.
It's not just about
the beginning.
The reasons.
It's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
The whole process.
So with just ad bellum,
Right.
you said there are like
There are 6 principles.
6 principles.
6 key principles.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Hit me with them.
Okay, number 1.
All right.
You got to have a just cause.
Just cause.
Usually this means self-defense.
Okay.
You're being attacked.
Someone's attacking you.
Or you're defending someone else
Clear.
who's being unjustly attacked.
Makes sense.
Okay, number 2.
Okay.
The war has to be declared
By
a legitimate authority.
Okay.
So this is usually a recognized government,
Okay, so you can't just have like
some random person declaring war.
right.
Has to be
Official.
an official declaration.
Right, number 3.
Number 3, the warring party has to have the right intention.
Right. Intention. What does that mean?
So they have to genuinely be aiming for peace.
Not just like
Revenge,
Yeah.
power grab, conquest. They
Alright.
have to actually be trying to restore peace and justice.
Interesting.
Okay, number 4.
All right, we're on a roll here.
This is a big one.
Okay.
Last resort.
Last resort meaning
You've tried everything else.
you've exhausted.
All the peaceful options.
Wow.
You've talked, you've negotiated.
everything.
You've done everything you can.
And
then.
Can you resort to war?
Wow, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
Okay, so that's 4.
4 down.
What are the last 2?
Okay, number 5.
All right.
Reasonable prospect of success.
Okay, so you can't just go into a war.
Knowing you're going to lose.
Yeah, that you're going to lose.
Right,
It
yeah.
has to be like
There has to be a chance.
a chance of winning.
A reasonable chance of victory.
Okay.
Because if it's just futile,
Yeah.
and you're just throwing lives away,
Then it's not justified.
it's not justified.
Okay.
And the last one,
Okay, last but not least,
number 6,
proportionality.
proportionality.
This means that the good that you're trying to achieve
Okay.
in going to war
Yeah.
has to outweigh the bad,
The bad.
evil that it's going to cause.
That makes sense.
So you have to weigh the costs and benefits
You have to weigh them.
and make sure
The
that
good outweighs the bad.
the good outweighs the bad.
6 principles.
6 principles.
That's a lot to consider.
It's a lot.
But you know what? That last resort principle,
Last resort.
that one's really
Tricky.
tricky, yeah. Because
What's-
what if waiting actually makes the enemy stronger?
Yeah, that's the dilemma.
Right.
Like,
Like, think about Nazi Germany,
oh, yeah.
right?
Tough one.
If the world had waited
Mm-hmm.
to act,
Right.
wouldn't that have led to even more suffering?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a tough call.
So how do you balance that?
That's the constant debate
Yeah.
within just war theory.
Okay.
How do you balance the need to exhaust all peaceful options?
With the potential for greater harm if you wait too long.
It's a tough one.
It's a tragic dilemma.
Yeah.
But the theory is trying to
Encourage restraint.
encourage restraint. Exactly.
And make sure war is truly the last resort.
The absolute last resort.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the jus and bello part.
Right.
That's where you're trying to,
Minimize harm.
minimize harm even in the midst of conflict.
Exactly. Even when the fighting's going on,
Yeah.
there are still ethical limits.
Like what kind of thing?
So things like
Yeah.
not targeting civilians,
Okay.
treating prisoners of war humanely,
Right.
not using weapons that cause unnecessary suffering.
Okay.
So, like,
There are limits,
there are limits,
Yeah.
even in war,
even in war.
which is,
Crazy to think about.
it's kind of mind-blowing. But
Yeah.
these principles,
Right.
they've actually evolved into what we call the laws of war,
Okay.
or international humanitarian law.
IHL.
IHL, exactly.
This is really important stuff.
Especially for those UPSC exams.
You got to know this stuff.
Gotta know this stuff.
Okay, so this is how
This is how we try to
ethics tries to
bring some kind of
bring some order to
order to the chaos.
the chaos of war.
Yeah.
But how often does this actually work
Yeah, that's the question.
in the real world?
Right.
It's a nice theory.
It's a nice theory, but
in practice.
yeah, does it actually get applied?
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough. There's always that gap.
That gap between
Theory and practice.
theory and practice.
Yeah.
Even World War II,
Yeah.
which a lot of people consider
The classic just war.
right, a justified war.
Mm-hmm.
Even that
Had some questionable,
questionable moments.
like the firebombing of Dresden,
right.
a city with little military significance.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Tough one.
It raises some serious ethical questions,
It does.
even in a war that we generally consider to be justified.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder.
With the way war is fought today, with drones,
Mm-hmm.
cyber warfare,
Yeah.
all these civilian casualties,
Mm-hmm.
has the idea of a just war
Become obsolete.
become obsolete?
That's the question.
Like, is it even possible
It's a tough one.
to have a just war anymore?
It's a really tough one.
It really makes you think.
It does.
Okay, so before we move on
Yeah.
to our third perspective,
Okay.
which is pacifism.
Pacifism.
Let's just take a second to bring it back to
To
you,
the listener.
the listener.
Yes.
Because,
You know, especially for those of you prepping for the UPSC exams,
yeah.
this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Think about how just war theory applies to modern conflicts,
Like,
like interventions in the Middle East.
right.
Do those interventions meet the criteria
Of a just war.
of a just war?
That's a good one.
Right. What are the alternatives?
Yeah.
These are the kinds of questions that can really help you understand.
Yeah, like really dig deep.
Dig deep.
And come up with some good arguments.
Compelling arguments.
Yeah.
For your exam.
For those essays,
Exactly.
you got to think critically.
It's not just about memorizing the principles.
You got to apply them
Yeah.
to real-world situations.
World situations.
And analyze those complexities
Exactly.
and form your own conclusions.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for.
That's what they want to see.
Okay.
Okay,
So.
ready for our last perspective.
Yeah, let's tackle
Let's do it.
pacifism.
Pacifism.
This one seems
This one's pretty
straightforward.
straightforward. Yeah, on the surface.
Yeah.
Pacifists are against war.
Period.
End of story.
No war.
No violence.
Huh.
Right.
But does that really work in the real world?
It's definitely a challenging stance.
Yeah.
And you've hit on one of the biggest criticisms.
Like what happens when you encounter
Yeah.
someone who's not playing by the rules?
Exists.
Totally aggressive.
Someone who's just
Yeah.
bent on violence. How do you protect yourself? How do you
Right.
protect others?
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember
Okay.
that pacifism isn't just one thing.
Okay.
There are different types.
Oh, okay.
You know, you have absolute pacifism,
Okay.
no violence whatsoever,
Under any circumstances.
no matter what.
Okay.
And then you have conditional pacifism,
Okay.
which says that violence might be okay.
In certain situations.
In extreme circumstances, like
Gotcha.
self-defense,
Okay, so there's some nuance there.
nuance.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, like,
Passive resistance.
just sitting there,
Taking it.
taking it. There's
Yeah.
active work.
There's active work to promote peace.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like, what kind of things?
Well, think about movements for disarmament,
Okay.
conflict resolution,
Mm-hmm.
peace building.
Okay.
All these things are rooted in pacifist principles.
So it's not just about
No.
not fighting,
It's about actively,
building a more peaceful world.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. But I still have to ask,
Yeah.
in a world where there's so much violence,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It's everywhere.
it's everywhere. You know,
See it.
interstate conflicts,
Mhm.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't pacifism just feel
Powerless.
kind of powerless?
That's a fair point.
Like, how can it possibly stand up
right.
to these forces?
To these powerful forces
Right.
that are so deeply entrenched.
Yeah.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And pacifists definitely grapple with that. But I think the strength of pacifism
Mhm.
lies in its moral commitment
To peace.
to peace.
Right.
It's unwavering.
Okay.
It forces us to confront the horrors of war,
Okay.
to constantly search for alternatives,
Even when it seems impossible.
even when it seems impossible,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like a constant reminder
It's a critique
Yeah.
of the status quo.
of the way things are.
It's saying
Yeah.
there's got to be a better way.
There's got to be a better way.
We can't just keep doing this.
Right.
It's not working.
It's not working.
We need to find a different path.
So it keeps the focus on,
Yeah.
like, the human cost
The human cost.
of war,
Absolutely.
which often gets lost
in the politics.
in the
It's
politics.
strategy. It's easy to forget about the people.
The people who are actually affected.
Exactly.
So we've covered 3 different approaches here.
3 big ones.
Realpolitik,
Mm-hmm.
just war theory,
Right.
and pacifism
3 different ways of looking at this question.
of whether war is ever justified.
Exactly.
And none of them
They're easy answers.
are easy answers.
Yeah.
Each one has its own
Complexities.
complexities and limitations
And strengths and weaknesses.
and strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And this is where you UPSC folks,
Yeah, you got it.
you really got to use those critical thinking skills.
Put those brains to work.
Yeah.
Don't just memorize.
Don't just memorize.
Engage with these ideas.
Debate them.
Debate them.
Sure.
And come to your own conclusion.
Form your own opinion.
Exactly.
And that's what's going to
Set you apart.
set you apart in those exams.
Show them you can think for yourself.
Exactly.
That's what they're looking for.
Because there are no easy answers
No easy answer.
when it comes to
The ethics of war.
the ethics of war.
Nope.
Okay, so we've done Realpolitik.
We did it.
We did it.
We tackled just war theory.
We navigated it.
We did.
And we explored
The pacifism.
the commitment of pacifism.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to bring it back
To the listener.
to you, the listener.
Yes.
So we've laid it all out there. Realpolitik, just war theory, pacifism. But now we want to hear from you.
Yeah. What do you think?
Which one of these perspectives,
If any.
yeah, resonates with you the most?
Do you lean more towards that pragmatism of realpolitik?
Right.
Or are you more drawn to the ethical framework of just war theory?
Or maybe you're a committed pacifist.
Yeah.
Like, war is never the answer.
Or maybe you're somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are probably.
Yeah, grappling with those complexities.
Yeah, because there are no easy answers.
No easy answers when it comes to war.
And especially
today.
yeah, because the way we even think about war is changing so fast.
It's mind-blowing.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Drones, cyber warfare, artificial intelligence.
Autonomous weapons.
It's like a whole new world.
It's a whole new landscape.
Yeah, and it makes all these ethical debates
Even more urgent.
even more urgent
Yeah.
because we're in uncharted territory.
We are.
Like the old rules.
They don't really apply anymore.
They don't fit.
It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do we apply these principles that we've been talking about?
Like just war theory
Yeah.
to AI-driven conflict.
To autonomous weapons systems.
I can
It's like
see
we
that.
need a whole new
Framework.
ethical framework.
Yeah, we got to rethink everything.
Yeah. And for you UPSC folks,
Oh, yeah.
this is gold.
This is the stuff.
Because if you can bring this up in your exams,
Yeah. Show them you're thinking ahead.
yeah, that you're not just stuck in the past.
You're thinking of the future.
You understand the challenges of the 21st
These are
century.
really
It's going to make your answers shine.
stand out.
Yeah, because these new technologies,
Yeah.
they don't just change how wars are fought.
No.
They change how we define war.
What even is war anymore?
Exactly.
It's this blurry line.
Like, where's the line between a cyber attack
Yeah.
and an act of war?
And what about those ethical implications of
Yeah,
using AI
to make life or death decisions.
on the battlefield?
It's heavy stuff.
It is.
It's like we're writing the future of warfare right now.
Yeah, we are, all of us.
And we got to make sure
We get it right.
that we're doing it in a way,
Minimizes harm.
yeah, that protects people.
Protects humanity.
That's why these discussions are so important.
Absolutely. We need to talk about this stuff.
We need to challenge assumptions.
We need to consider all sides.
Whether you're a diplomat,
A student,
just a regular person.
your voice matters.
Yeah, because this isn't just some abstract theory.
No.
This is about our lives,
This is about the world we want to live in.
the future we want to create.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
we want to hear from you.
Yeah, head over to the comments.
Let us know what you're thinking.
What resonated with you?
What are your biggest concerns about the future of war?
And how do we build a more peaceful world?
What can we do?
Share your thoughts.
Let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely.
And of course,
So don't forget,
hit that like button
subscribe to the channel.
so you don't miss out on future deep dives.
We'll see you next time.
Keep learning,
Oh.
keep questioning, and keep thinking critically about the world.